So it's something we've been talking about for a while now, fear, uncertainty, and it's crushing the crypto market. There is uncertainty that is running rampant. Again, I want to state up front. I've said this in a bunch of videos. If you haven't caught every one of my videos, I firmly believe that there's manipulation happening in the crypto space. So just want to get that right out there front and center. But outside of that, there is fear that is prevalent and is running rampant and is keeping people either A, pulling their money out of crypto, or B, keeping them on the sidelines, or C, having them literally run away as fast as they can. And is this one of those situations where, hey, the crypto market's done and we just all need to just pack up our bags and go home? No, absolutely not, in my opinion. But it is something we need to discuss and talk about. And as a fellow crypto holder, I'm not selling, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to ride this out. But I thought that this was a really, really great post from Bull Theory. Now, this is covering stocks and crypto because if you were paying attention, NVIDIA blew their numbers out of the water. And we had this morning, the futures were pointing to up 400 or 500 points as far as the Dow and the NASDAQ. And then at one point, the NASDAQ was up 400 plus points. I mean, it was crazy. It was a great day. And all of a sudden it turned. Today's market dump makes absolutely no sense. Okay. S&P wiped out 1.5 trillion in value from today's high. This is stock side. Bitcoin dropped to 87. It hit 86,000 almost exactly. Crypto market is below $2.95 trillion market cap. And the craziest part, there wasn't a single negative headline today. No policy surprise, no new recession warning, no tariffs or bad earnings, and NVIDIA posting a bullish earnings report. Nothing explains a sell-off of this scale, which brings us back to what I said at the top of the video. It doesn't make sense. Is there manipulation? Absolutely. But what else? The only really big thing that makes sense is fear, is a prevailing theme of uncertainty and where people are simply afraid, and they will become afraid at a whim. I'm speaking more on the crypto side than on the stock side. It's easier to move the needle on the crypto side because it's just simply not as big of a market. It's less than 3 trillion as far as right now. And that may sound big, but it's not. And with a lack of liquidity in the market, the people that want to move it in a way for it to benefit them, they can do that. Where does it leave us? It leaves us in a place where, in my opinion, if you embrace the uncertainty, okay, and you embrace the fear that you know's in the market, and you say, okay, how am I going to use this to my advantage? Number one, you acknowledge it. That's the first key. You acknowledge that it exists. That's what I'm doing in this video. Number two, you have to look at yourself and you have to make a choice. Am I going to let the conditions of the market right now make me leave? And only you can answer that. Me, I'm not leaving. Okay. If you continue down that lineage, that line of discussion, the next is, what do you do? Okay, Austin, what do I do? What do we do in this situation? The fact of the matter is, all you can do is hold, wait it out, and wait for it to turn better. Because you can get mad at it. I've gotten mad at it, but you have no power in this. You're not sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars of money that you can inject into the market, which I wouldn't do anyway, because probably would be gobbled up right now. It simply is a situation where we are in a situation that is out of our control. And I'm just calling it what it is. I'm just simply shooting straight with you. Okay? Because fear is crushing the market and uncertainty is rampant and market manipulation is playing out. And the powers that be that are manipulating the market are pushing it in any direction they want to, because there's not enough money. There's not enough liquidity. There's not enough people on the other side of that ball to push it back to them, if you know what I'm saying. And that sucks. But that's just the truth. And you can, Austin, you didn't talk about this. You didn't talk about that. You didn't talk about the Fed. You didn't talk about tariffs and all that. Yeah, all that's part of it. It's all part of the narrative. But if you distill it down to just trying to get down to the essence, I was having a conversation today with a couple of other people in the space, and we were talking about this. And one of these individuals is a very strong technical analysis guy, and he looks at charts all the time. And the conversation with him started off from a very technical level, but ultimately, even from talking to a guy who is one of the brightest minds that I know, who can analyze cryptos from a technical analysis standpoint, we ended up at this exact same place where he looked at me and he was like, I simply don't know anymore. The charts tell us we should, be going in a different direction, right? All those things you and I've talked about in these videos, but he looked at it and he's like, there is no reason for why the market is behaving like it's behaving. Which brings us back to this. It makes absolutely no sense why the markets are behaving they are, outside of the reasons we've talked about, which quite frankly, in my opinion, are the reasons that no one really wants to acknowledge. Wall Street, financial markets don't want to acknowledge it. The guys on the talking heads on all the financial shows don't want to acknowledge manipulation. They don't want to acknowledge massive rampant fear and uncertainty. They don't want to talk about those words because those words scare the living hell out of people and make people angry. All right, I'm talking about it because that's where we've ended up. And where does that leave me? It leaves me, I'm just going to stay. I'm going to be here and I'm going to be buying as I see opportunities, and I'm going to be holding, and I'm not going to sell. And I'm not going to let them win. I'm not going to let the manipulation run me out of the room. I'm just not going to let that happen. And ultimately, that has to be your choice in what you do or do not do. I wish you the best either way, and I hope you stay. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. Thanks for watching.